Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. The latest WBO rankings are out and Oscar Rivas, he is the big winner this month. Courtesy of his win over Bryant Jennings, he has vaulted to number 4 in the WBO rankings after having not been ranked at all. So he is the big mover. So we'll go through the 15 and a few thoughts on each and a couple of what next potentially for some of these guys. As I've mentioned before, some of these WBO rankings are littered with regional titles, and be good to see some eliminators with some of these guys who are occupying spots on the basis of having a regional title. Buckle in. Let's go. Dillian Whyte, he remains at number 1 spot in the WBO rankings. And obviously the win over Derek Chisora would have solidified him at the top, but he probably wasn't going to be going anywhere even if he hadn't have been fighting. But it'll be interesting to see now what the WBO does, because you have Alexander Usyk sort of sifting around the division, a potential fight in May, that's what we're hearing. And Usyk, if he wants to claim the WBO mandatory status, he can have an automatic shot at doing so when he moves up to heavyweight. But I wonder, between now and then, will the WBO order its mandatory, which could be Dillian Whyte? If they want to sort of push for that now, they've got a much stronger case now that Bryant Jennings, who was beaten by Oscar Rivas, is seemingly out of the mix. Top Rank, who promotes Bryant Jennings, probably would have kicked up a fuss trying to get a final eliminator with Whyte had he beaten Oscar Rivas, but he didn't. Rivas came through that. Number 2, Tom Schwartz. He is back up to number 2. He was there about a year ago or so. He's been fluxing sort of round 2 to 6 in the rankings for the past year. He hasn't really been fighting too many guys of note. We don't really know how good he is. At this point, he's been facing European level opposition. We'll have to see what he can do. I would like to see him ordered in some sort of eliminator, because otherwise he's just not taking the fights he needs to be in. So he's sifting around the sort of top 5, top 6 for a decent chunk of time now. We need to see him in a better fight. Jarrell Miller, he moves up 1 courtesy of Bryant Jennings, who was previously at number 2, dropping down. So Schwartz and Miller, they're up 1 place respectively. Miller, we don't know when he will be fighting next. Reportedly, it will be against Trevor Bryan. The WBA, and this is according to media reports, has ordered that fight. Seems like there will be a mini tournament involving Jarrell Miller, Trevor Bryan, them squaring off, and Freza Kendo and Manuel Charr in another fight, and that will be for Charr's regular title. So we'll have to see what happens there, because just because it's been ordered, if the reports are believed to be true, doesn't mean it's going to happen. There's, all sorts of twists and turns in the heavyweight division. But Jarrell Miller, he needs a decent fight, and if he's going to be fighting Trevor Bryan for an interim title, I guess you could say, even though that's not maybe the opponent we'd like to see him in with, there is some credibility to it's a version or a part of a version of a heavyweight title. Number 4, Oscar Rivas. Not in the top 15 in the previous month. You can see on the list on the right, that is the former month. He vaults in at number 4. Good win over Bryant Jennings, stopped him in the 12th round of their fight. And yeah, Oscar Rivas is in line now for a big fight. And he could get a number of decent fights within his PBC stable or elsewhere. It depends where they want to position him now. So Oscar Rivas is in a good position. Remaining in 5th position this month is Zhili Zhang, the Chinese heavyweight, who would be good to see in a good step-up fight. He almost got that against Alexander Ustinov the back end of 2018, but travel document issues sort of scuppered that. Number 6, Tyrone Spong. He's up 1 from last month. We'll have to see where he goes in 2019. He's on the verge of stepping up to more sort of fringe contender status, and it will be interesting to see which path he goes down. He's got the Latino WBO title at the moment, and that's why he's so high in these rankings, because some of the opposition that he's faced hasn't been great, and that's the same for Kyotaru Fujimoto at 7. He swaps places with Tyrone Spong. Spong at 6, Fujimoto at 7. We need to see some of these guys, hopefully, fighting either better opposition or ordered in eliminators in 2019. Because for me, some of these guys are taking up space that they don't necessarily deserve because the opposition isn't always great. Fujimoto, for example, has been facing former middleweights and super middleweights and all that sort of stuff, guys who've blown up to heavyweight. At number 8, we've got Junior Fa. He recently fought in December 2018 against a faded Argentinian. He is up 1 spot this month, leapfrogs Ajit Kabiyal. He's got a fight scheduled on March 2nd, opponent to be announced. Hopefully it's a step up from the guy that he fought, 37-year-old faded former cruiserweight Rogelio Omar Rossi. That was December 2018. That was on the Parker and Flores undercard. He looks primed for a decent year. They're talking about a good step-up opposition fights, so it remains to be seen where they take him. But if he ever wants to get in the conversation for, final eliminators or a fight with his countryman Joseph Parker, he's going to have to climb through the levels a bit. Ajit Kabiyal, it'd be good to see him in a fight soon. He was due to face Otto Wallin in February, but that had to be postponed because Wallin's coach was stabbed in New York. So that's been put off for now. We don't know when it will be rescheduled to. But he is the EBU belt holder, and Wallin is his mandatory. Wallin having the European title in his hands. Otto Wallin, Ajit Kabiyal, I like that fight. It's a shame it's been put off. Bryant Jennings, he obviously lost to Oscar Rivas. He drops 8 places from number 2 to number 10. And where to next for Jennings? He's been saying all sorts of things on his social media, very sort of deep and meaningful sort of stuff. But really, Top Rank will have to guide a careful path for him. Who knows? Maybe they will try to set him up against Kubrat Pulev, who's recently joined Top Rank. But given that Bryant Jennings was never set up with Andy Ruiz when Ruiz was at Top Rank, I just don't know whether that fight will ever happen between Jennings and Pulev. Otto Wallin, as I just mentioned, he was due to face Kabiyal. That's been postponed for now. We'll have to wait for a rescheduled date. Christian Hammer, who recently beat Michel Wallace, he is facing Luis Ortiz in March the 2nd at the Barclays Center on an all-Cuban card. He's not Cuban, but Luis Ortiz's opponent is. Erislandi Lara is also on that card. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because Hammer, whenever he stepped up to world level, and Ortiz is at world level, Hammer has lost. So, I'm not giving him a great shot in that fight. He may survive the rounds because he is a durable sort of guy, but he may make Luis Ortiz look a bit average because he's one of those guys who, sometimes if he wants to survive, the other guy can look at a bit marginal. He made Alexander Povetkin look a little bit on the slide when they fought the back end of, 2017. Number 13, Ali Aaron Demirishian. He was due to fight Izu Agono. I'm not sure what's happening now with Ali Aaron Demirishian. He was the WBO Europe belt holder, but he's seemingly vacated that belt, which was picked up by Christian Hammer, I might add, in his fight with Michel Wallace. So Demirishian, not sure where he's going. And the next guy, who knows? Number 14, Richard Lartey, a bit of an enigma. I won't dwell on him. I have gone in at length on Lartey before. He's only been campaigning in Ghana of recent times. The one time he fought outside of Ghana in Switzerland, he was beaten. That was a number of years ago now. Not a lot of footage of Lartey about. He's pulled out of a couple of fights with Junior Farr and Joe Joyce in 2018. Really don't know how good he is, but he's got the ranking. He's got that WBO Africa strap, and that's why he's in the rankings. And at number 15, at the back end of the top 15, is rising prospect Filip Hrgovic, who enters the rankings at the expense of Izu Agono. Agono had been scheduled to fight Demirishian in December 2018, but Agono's coach died in tragic circumstances, and that fight was postponed. Not sure if that will be held. We'll have to see. But Filip Hrgovic, he's now ranked across 3 sanctioning bodies. He's a man on the rise. And we've got this double sort of star here, Victor Bisbal, Latino international. Don't know much about him, and I'm not even sure why he's double starred at the back of the rankings or what that denotes, because it isn't listed on the WBO website. Anyway, what do you make of it all? Oscar Rivas, the big winner in this month's WBO rankings update. Tom Schwartz, back to number 2. He's been there before, hasn't really fought anyone of note to deserve that ranking in my opinion, but he's up there, and Dillian Whyte still at number 1. Drop a comment, loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.
If you want even more boxing content, come and join me on Patreon.
Every week on a Sunday, I drop a new video on something topical or thought-provoking from the heavyweight division, ranging from rankings, the business of boxing, the false economy of deluded fanboys, the twists and turns in the division, to assessments of fighters and their statements. I hope to see you there, and for more information go to patreon.com/boxing. youtube.com/boxing squared. The address is on screen now.